Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Today is our big book launch. So I have with you another author, and Susan has also shared in book number 1 and in book number 2.
Yes.
So please welcome Susan Whalen Janzen. And Susan, tell us a bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, who I am is Susan Whalen is my maiden name, and Janzen is my married name. And I am a realtor currently in Edmonton, Alberta. I have been a realtor for 16 years full-time, and residential is my specialty. And that's who I am, and that's where I live. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So tell us in one sentence what your story is about in book number 2.
Okay. One sentence is hard, but I will do it. I promise, Brenda. I will do it.
It's okay.
After a lifelong search, and I'm in my 60s, so after a lifelong search, and finally using the DNA records and Ancestry.com, I found my biological father. I'd never met him, and I also found out that he passed away 6 years ago, which was really a sad event for me. But in the good news is that I found 4 half siblings.
Wow. And Ancestry really does work.
It works. And I'm actually, yeah, it works very well. I actually did both because I've been looking for so long and so hard. I never had that opportunity with the DNA before. That's something I just tried 3.5 years ago. So I did the Ancestry.com. I spit in a tube and sent it off. And then I also did 23andMe. So I did both because I figured I got to find this guy before I die and before he probably dies, right? That's what I was thinking because I knew that he'd be in his 80s. So.
Oh, cool. I have done that Ancestry thing too. And so far I found out I'm a Quaker, and then I'm a Mormon, and then I'm a
Whoa! That's awesome.
I have all kinds of stuff going on.
You have to just take it with a grain of salt. I know it's not 100% scientific, and I do know that you have to be careful and be just a little open about it. And I never, what was interesting in my story is that I was so focused on finding my dad. I had an 8x10 photo of him, and my mom gave it to me when I was 13, and I had this letter. It was actually a birthday card saying "Happy Birthday, 1-year-old."
Oh,
from Mrs. Green, like back in the day, and my mom gave that to me when I was 13. Those are the only 2 pieces of anything I had that proved I had a dad. And because I was a foster kid up until then, I never had a father. So it was interesting that I was so focused on finding my dad that when I found out, and I did receive an obituary from a cousin in Calgary, I was devastated. And I thought, that's the end of everything. That's the end of this amazingly long search. So the great news is, though, that when I got that obituary, I looked at the bottom, and there was 4 kids' names on there. I had never even thought about siblings. What are brothers and sisters? I don't know what that even means. So I was so excited to find out that there were 4 siblings. So I contacted the oldest. And that is what happened, and how my whole world changed a year last November.
Oh, cool. So how has your world changed or your life changed since sharing your story? Because like I say, you shared in book number 1, and you also shared in book number 2. So how has your life changed since you broke that silence about your story?
Right. Huge changes in me personally. What I found was that when I wrote in book number 1, I had written, some things don't happen as we want. Some things don't happen as we plan. And I had accepted that. And I said, I'll never find my dad. I don't know what's going to happen, even though I'll keep looking. But I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with my life. And I'm very blessed. And I just have all my faith has come into play. And that's important to me. But it was interesting because I submitted that last edit. And I remember getting the notice back saying, on the first book, that's it. You guys are done. No more editing. I thought, okay, fine. And it wasn't even 2 weeks later that I got the email saying, we found your dad. So between the first book, where I'm acceptance and understanding, and I thought I was at peace with it. And I was really in my head, but maybe not in my heart. When I found my dad, and then I wrote that second book chapter, I honestly can say I have a peace. I'm not searching. I'm not anxious. I'm not running. I'm not. Every single time a name Green came up, I said, "Are you my dad?" I mean, anybody out there know who my dad is? Like, I've been looking, and I stop strangers on the street if their last name is Green. It's like crazy. So I've been doing that my whole life. So for me, honestly, I feel, even though I've been at peace in all other parts of my life, I have a wonderful marriage, great kids, great career, but that was something I didn't realize, how driven I was and how not stressed, but you know what I mean? Like, just not content. And when this all happened and I met my 4 siblings, oh, it's like I'm in love. It's so cool. It's so
that's good. It is an amazing story, and one that I think a lot of people also are afflicted with, as to who am I? Where did they come from? Who are my biological parents? And whether it's through adoption or foster homes or however it is, knowing your identity is a huge, huge thing. And it's because of ancestry and things like that, it has become such a huge thing. And I know for me, I'm forever looking to see who I am. Not too sure I want to find out at times. But anyway,
But it's nice. It's like some people, and I do appreciate a lot of, especially people, exactly what you said, the people who have been in foster care, who maybe never knew their parents, the people who always knew their parents, but maybe had a really bad experience with that. They don't get me. They don't understand. Like, I had a rough childhood. I have a bad dad, or a mom even, but it's just different, and it's hard to explain when you know who your mom is and you know who her mother and grandmother is. Then they never really contacted me or had information, but I knew who they were. I could find them if I wanted. My dad's side was like a black hole. It was like, I don't know, how tall is this guy? Like, what's he like? I mean, I knew nothing about him. So it's different when you know nothing and then it's revealed.
Yeah.
That was amazing. But I so appreciate some people are foster kids, they don't want to know. And that's wonderful. I mean, that's great, because they might know enough. Like, everyone is so different. It's such a personal thing. And it's just so personal that it's hard to even judge or try to understand. I know a lot of people who've had their parents their whole life, they don't get it. They just don't get it.
They don't get it because it's not an experience that they've had. I mean, there's lots of people who have been adopted and have medical issues and need to know who my biological link is, because they need to know for health reasons. They need to know for different things. So I'm hoping that in the future, that when people are put into foster care or they're put up for adoptions, that medical histories go with those people so that they at least have something. Even if they don't have their names, they at least have something.
I agree. So, that's a great point. I was just thinking as you were, sorry to interrupt you. You know how you say, if you've had a child, like if you're a woman and you've actually physically had a baby, and you know what that's like, and we know what that's like. If you've never had a child, you don't have how could you know? Right? Yeah, it's an experience that you can't understand, because you can't know, because you've never had the experience. So I understand when people don't get it. It's not a judgment call on my part. It's just that I do understand, and it's hard to explain to them. So that's what my analogy is. So just
they've never had the experience.
Right, exactly.
I had one lady say to me, I was at an event, and she said to me, all of the women there had been sexually abused, and we were talking about it and things like that. And she hadn't been. And she said, I don't belong in your club. Okay. Well, thank heavens you don't belong in my club.
That's true.
I says, because there's very few who don't belong in this club. And she was feeling left out. And I told her, I said, be proud of the fact that you are not in this club, because when you're in this club, there's all kinds of things that go undercurrent. your self-esteem, your confidence, your ability to sometimes function normally under certain amounts of stress. I said, not having had those experiences gives you a whole new perspective on life, because you're not shadowed by events of your past.
They're scars. They're scars. Like those are things you can't forget. Those things you can't make them go away. You can put them aside and go on with your life and be positive, and you can change your attitude. You can change the way you think about those things as in the past. But they're so traumatic that you're right. That's a club that you don't ask to be belonging to.
You don't want to belong to it. And I always use the analogy. It's like this: if you walk into a house and you walk through, and to the right is my left is your living room, and then there's this hallway. There's a door, and the door is locked. And then you go through the living room, and you have to come back out and go through the hallway, past the door into the kitchen, and that locked door is always there, and you have to walk past it knowing that there's a locked door, and you know what's behind that locked door, and it's ever present in your life until you decide to unlock the door and clean out the closet.
Right.
And then it's not the locked door anymore. And that's what I always equate to. For me, it was always this locked door that I had in my mind, and I knew what was behind that door. Just as well as you knew what was behind your locked door. And until you opened up that locked door and dealt with it, you had no idea what life could be once the door is unlocked and the closet was cleaned out.
Exactly. I was fortunate because I was abused in foster care. And when I think I was 5.5 years old.
Yeah.
So, and that was like the sexual abuse. There was a lot of abuse that before and after from other, places. But again, those are still things that are always there. Like they're part of me now, right? Those are part of the scars that, but again, I talk in my chapter, I have a faith that I honestly believe that I'm taken care of. And I have a strong faith in that. So that's always gotten me through. And any time that I felt burdened by it or reminded about it or anything, I always was very optimistic. Have that personality anyway. I'm very optimistic, and I always could see past it. And I always knew things are going to get better for sure. I never thought it would take me till I'm 64 years old to find my dad, though. That's interesting how that works. But you have to be patient. Like you just don't know when you don't know when you're ready to accept the changes, and when you're ready to move forward, and when you're ready to make anything in your life change. Seeing it through a different lens.
Yeah,
that's a decision that everyone is so personal, and this is such a personal thing for everybody. Same as finding my dad. It's such a personal thing that you can't, dictate. This is how it should be. This is which way you should go. You do it on your own time, and you do it when it brings you the peace and the joy that you need in your life. Right?
No, that's true. I said to the last author, I said, you can't go from grade 1 to graduation without going along the other parts of the journey. And you have to learn as you go along how to deal with certain things as you're going along, and you eventually get to the other side. So my question to you is, why did you decide to share your story?
I always had hope. I always felt, I didn't know when, and I knew that, but I always was optimistic that I would find my dad. I don't know what form that was going to take. I had no clue, but I always was driven to that end. And I've always been optimistic about it. I've never been down about it or depressed about it. I just kept going. Like a bull in a china shop, kind of, I guess you could say. And so I wanted to share this to people to say, you know what? It's not too late to stop trying. It's never too late. Like, don't give up, because you don't know when that right time is. Yeah. Maybe, and I'm thinking, you know what? The more I think about this, the more I prayed about this, I wasn't ready, maybe. I mean, maybe I wasn't ready to find, like, I'm feeling so good about everything in my life the last few years. And I've been in an amazing marriage in the last 30 years. We just celebrated our 30th anniversary.
Well, congratulations.
But yeah, thank you. But I think maybe personally, I wasn't ready. And I'm also thinking that my dad died 6 years ago. Maybe I wasn't meant to meet him ever. There's maybe reasons for that. So all I'm saying is and why I wanted to write this was to say, like, just never give up. Like, just really honestly stay the road and stay on that journey that you have to be on, and accept the things as they happen, because maybe they're not meant to happen yet. I truly believe that. I honestly believe that I wasn't meant to actually physically meet my dad, but wow, the siblings that I've met in this journey, they are so nice, and I could not be happier. It could not have been a better outcome. It's so great. It's so, and they call me sis, and they call me. That's the title of my chapter is we chat every single day since last November, so a year and a bit now, now. And we chat good morning every morning and good night every night. And then one day, the oldest brother Rick was saying, "Hey, we need a nickname for Sue because she's the 5th kid here and she doesn't have a nickname yet." And they were all going back and forth. And I was typing, "Can I listen in on this chat? I feel really weird listening here." And then Della finally said, "Let's call her Angel. She's brought us all together, and she's really opened up doors for us, and we just really love her, and let's call her Angel." And I thought, oh my God. So that's why I call my chapter, they call me Angel. That's my name.
And it's true. As you're going along your journey, maybe 5 years ago, it may have been a different outcome when you found your father and the siblings. And now you guys are all united in the memory of your father. So things do happen for a reason. And I think stories come forward for a reason. I mean, it took me over 4 decades to finally, come to terms with mine. And it was a journey. And I think that's the biggest thing is all of our stories are a journey, and they are told when they need to be told at the time in our life when we need to tell them.
Exactly. And I think we have to just be a little kinder to ourselves. I think we have to, not be so impatient about it, and but accept things as they come through. Some people kind of put up the doors, and then they're not open to being in that place where they can accept things to come to them, right?
Yeah, that's true. For sure. You have to open the door if you want opportunities and new relationships, new feelings to come in. You have to clean out some of the crap and open the door and be willing to step what I call into the unknown, because it literally is the unknown. I mean, you live in your circle of what's happening within you, and you know what's all around you, your circumstances, your environment. But the minute you share your story and you step into the unknown, it is the unknown.
You have to be brave. You have to be brave.
Yeah, you have to be brave, and you have to be open-minded and willing to take what is going to come to you. And I don't think there's anybody who has ever shared their story in any of the books that have said, "I wish I had never have done that."
Yeah.
There isn't one person who has said that. They've all said, "Thank heavens, and what took me so long."
But again, I think they have to not be so hard on themselves. I think that they weren't ready before. They weren't ready before that all happened for them.
No, that's true. Yeah. No, that's true. Well, thank you very much, my dear. And Susan is going to be singing at the summit.
Yay!
In May, so that it's going to be a lot of fun. And we will be doing all kinds of neat and wonderful things at the summit. It's never a summit like everybody thinks it is. It's not the same thing.
It's kind of like a love fest.
It is. It is. It's in not a weird way, but
not a weird way. No, not a weird way. It's just beautiful women coming together, because we don't have to I don't know. It's just like we know each other. It's like we've all experienced so much in common that we just, it's like you don't have to go through that, "Oh, what's your name? Where are you from?" That kind of preliminary.
No. And even if you guys haven't met each other yet, you all seem to know each other because of the Sacred Hearts community, where you can go in and you can meet everybody and talk. And like I said to Rika, I says, "I've never met you, but here we are. It feels like I know you, but I've never physically hugged you." But it is a very unique and different experience. That is for sure, being author in the Sacred Hearts books.
I agree. It's very. But thank you for bringing us all together. See, you're our shepherd. You're bringing us all together.
Well, I am honored to have met so many beautiful women and so many beautiful souls who have shared their stories. And Susan, I love you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for everything that you have done in
Thank you.
your story. And everybody, there'll be a link above for to buy the book today. And
wow,
make sure
I can't wait.
And because it's been picked up by a publisher, I'm not really sure how it's all going to work. You know, it's probably going to take a few days for us to find out where we ended up in the standings and all of that good stuff. But yeah, but it's going to be in bookstores, and that is going to be amazing. So
it's wonderful. Thank you so much. I can't
thank
wait.
you very much, and we will talk later.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.